They have to do something with Tim Walz. The fascination with the Kamala Harris change on the left is going to wear off. The honeymoon period will wear off. Already David Axelrod is warning about this. He's the guy who puts Obama in the Oval Office. Axelrod is warning this is a glow. It's a honeymoon period. It's relief. People figured out that the figurehead Biden couldn't win. They were desperate for someone to do something. That's why there's been no pushback from the Democrat base who've had Kamala Harris shoved down their throats. So I saw something in the Mockingbird media about people fainting at Tim Walz events. There ain't no one that has Tim Walz fever, not even in Minnesota. I mean, the local media there is more controlled than in probably any other state, so Tim Walz is allowed to get away with some things. But no one's really fainting at the sight of Tim Walz, and yet they're trying to push this. Let's talk about Tim, the manufactured candidate, versus Tim, the reality. And let me remind you something about people fainting. Explain that in a second. Today is the day the Lord has made, and these are the times through which God has decided we shall live. And in times such as these, it's incumbent upon us to parse through what's fake and what's real. And, of course, in times of universal deceit, telling the truth is an act of bravery. I don't consider myself brave. It's just my job to speak truth. Tim Walz is being pushed upon America as the, oh, gosh, he served in distinct, honorable ways in the National Guard. Oh, gosh, guy. He goes ice fishing. He's Uncle Tim. We'll talk later this week in more detail about the stolen valor, but it's very, very clear that Tim Walz has allowed many people to say he was a combat veteran. He himself has talked about carrying a rifle into combat. He himself has said things like being at Bagram Air Force Base when he wasn't. He was somewhere else. He's done this subtly that at no time did he come out and say, I never served in combat. Please don't say that. That's something that every politician who served really should do to make that very, very clear, because the distinction matters. Tim Walz has pretended to be a man changed by war. Well, perhaps he was changed by knowing other people went to war. He's pretended to be a man changed by seeing the coffins of fellow soldiers come home. And perhaps he witnessed that. After all, he worked at an airport. Period. That's all he did. Now, that's honorable service. Anybody who serves in the military has honorable service. If your job was working at an airport or a chow hall or in supply chain or in infrastructure, whatever you did, it's a hell of a lot more than I did, which was nothing. And you guys deserve credit for all of it. They have to do something around Tim Walz. So I saw this report about Tim Walz and someone fainting, and this could be very conspiratorial, probably is, but I wanted to share it with you because I remember a time where a whole lot of fainting happened. And if you're young, you may not remember this time when a whole lot of fainting happened, and a guy from the stage had a script. He said the same thing over and over and over again. I'll show that to you in a second. I had a fantastic bit of news my wife gave me about a viewer-listener to this podcast. They decided to make a decision to have all of their gifts. This man made this decision. He said to his friends and family, anything you get me for my birthday or Christmas, I want it to be a partner of the Todd Herman Show. That's huge. So thankful for that. I also learned that people are beginning to buy the Eden Pure Oxyleaf 2 Thunderstorm devices. I've noticed that they're now beginning to buy this for their adolescent boys' rooms. Now, stop. I mean, maybe the adolescent boys' room, the boys don't care about how their room smells, but you do. If you have to go in there at all, then you care. And by the way, sometimes that stink makes it out. I've now got 2 occasions where people have figured out that the Eden Pure Oxyleaf 2 is so simple. Plug it into the wall, it produces ozone. You begin to smell the effects of ozone in about 3 minutes. The ozone is an O3 molecule. It has the powerful ability to bond to bad smells like those produced by adolescent boys. God love them. That's just a fact. And it negates them. It destroys the molecules. It works with cat litter. It works with cigarette smoke. It works with food that had rotted in your car. You forgot it was there, left it over the weekend. It stinks to high heaven. This stuff will clean that out. Just put the device in the car overnight and it will be gone. You can save $200 on a 3-pack of these devices. Very, very simply. Just go to EdenPureDeals.com, use code TODD3. That's EdenPureDeals, use code TODD3. Breathe a breath of fresh air again and save $200. EdenPureDeals.com, use code TODD3. Tim Walz had something happen at one of his rallies.
I can outshoot these guys. Look, freedom is when can we get somebody to help? Somebody's hot. Somebody's hot. Can we get somebody to help? You okay? Drink some water, folks. It is hot out. Get somebody up.
This is MSNBC staying alive.
Thank you.
Staying tight on the camera.
Can you get water?
They're chanting, "They're so weird." This is a guy, of course, who wants so-called drag queen story time in schools to chemically and surgically alter kids. He put tampons into boys' bathrooms, ages, 4 through 12, or grades 4 through 12. He's earned the nickname Tampon Tim. He has engaged in stolen valor. He has said it is un-American to tell kids they can't read porn, and MSNBC stays tight as Tim Walz wants someone to drink water because they passed out. Normally, you would cut away. Normally, the commentators would come on. They're not doing that. They're staying tight.
Thank you all for helping.
On the newsfeed.
Thank you.
So why are they doing this? They're doing it, I think, because they hope to catch a buzz. They hope to catch a buzz that happened way back in 2008. The Barack Hussein Obama, God bless Rush Limbaugh campaign was the most crafted in history. The most brilliantly crafted product was Barack Obama, beginning with no longer having him be Barry Soetoro. He had to be Barack Obama. Of course, erasing where he'd had on his student badge, he put it there. He was the one who wanted it there. Foreign students, he's the one who wanted it there because it was exotic, replacing that. Then creating things like the Barackopolis that they travel around that looked like the White House. They actually put on his seat on the plane, the private plane in which he flew, private jet, Axelrod had put on that seat Commander-in-Chief to get it in his head. The Obama campaign was the most crafted in history. The trained way he reads from the teleprompter, the trained way he stepped back from Saul Alinsky tactics. Notice that the Alinsky tactics came back the moment he took office. While he was running, it was all soaring rhetoric. We are the people we've been waiting for. We will bring the hope and change. Hope and change, of course, being a communist construct. Hope and change, hope and change. Because everybody wants to have hope in their lives, and most people want change. That came then into the White House, and all of a sudden, it went from the soaring rhetoric, bringing everybody together, to saying things like when John McCain questioned Obamacare. Obama came into the room and said, John, I won. The debate is over. Saying things like when he forced through in Obamacare the $1 abortion tax. Do you remember this? Everybody had to pay $1 a month for abortion because he said, we settled this stale issue of abortion once and for all. But that all started with the most crafted, productized campaign in history, which is why Rush Limbaugh used to question events like this that happened time and time and time again.
Good to be back in New Hampshire. Okay, we'll be all right. They probably were just standing too long. Just give them a little space. Where's our EMS folks? They'll be okay. Just give them a little space. This happens sometimes. You guys been here a while after the magging? Well, no, you have to eat ahead of time. Keep your blood sugar high. We got somebody over there?
And it happened time and time and time again. Like here.
Looks like somebody might have fainted up here. If we got some of the EMS, somebody. Don't worry about it. Folks do this all the time in my meetings.
It's actually a funny line.
You always got to eat before you stand for a long time.
Same comments.
That's a little tip. But they'll be okay. Just make sure that give them a little room.
You can go through this history that YouTube has done everything it can to lock down, and he had a script. It was eat before you come. It was, do we got some water? Where's the EMS? It was the same thing every time. And I recall from Russia's program, there were 40 or 50 of these instances. Chick-fil-A, well, not Chick-fil-A, no, the donut place. They used to pay people to line up. Chick-fil-A did the same thing, as I understand. They bring a new store, they'd pay people to get in line. We know that they faked that around the COVID shots. People getting in line to go get them. I'm not saying that Tim Walz is faking this. I'm saying that they're desperate to bring some form of enthusiasm to this because Tim Walz can't sell it to a general audience. They, of course, infiltrated the black churches. This is still amazing to me that black pastors are willing to do this for Kamala Harris.
God, I don't know. It feels like 2028. I mean, 2008. It feels like 2008 excitement. You see how excited? From the outhouse to the White House. You don't feel the 2008 electricity in the air? I'm going to let this go in a second. You don't feel the 2008 electricity in the air? You don't feel the 2008 electricity in the air?
That's Bishop William C. Shields.
Will not win. I haven't been so excited about an election since Obama. 2008, Kamala Harris is going to win this election. She's going to win it. With our help, God has already done his part. Now it's up to us to do our part.
Let me first say I've not seen this kind of excitement in Michigan since 2008 when we elected our first black president, Barack Obama.
We're witnessing a substance-free election with a woman who has never made a hard decision and stands on no moral framework, running in concert with a man who's a pervert, who has obviously a moral framework, but it is an amoral one or immoral. So they have to pipe something into this. And if it faints, well, maybe that's the excitement part because people are fainting in his mere presence. I'm not saying it's fakery. I'm suggesting during the Obama era, it was absolutely fakery because the responses were scripted. The timing was scripted. So let's pay attention to see if they try to pull this one off as well. This is the Todd Herman Show. Please go be well, be strong, be kind, and please make every effort to walk in the light of Christ.